Hi everyone, just wanted to share a few tips for planning your all-inclusive vacation in Mexico. The first tip is I would advise you to bring sunblock, sunscreen. Even in February, even in the winter, it can still get very sunny, and when it is sunny you definitely feel the heat, and that is something I've always done. You can, if you're only taking carry-on bags, I believe they sell small bottles that are small enough for you to take on carry-on bags, sunblock. We are here in February right now, and a lot of the times it is cloudy, but when it is sunny, even if it is quote-unquote only 80 degrees, it can feel a lot hotter, and there's also a high degree of humidity right now in February. So it can sometimes be very hot and humid even in the winter here in Mexico, so I would definitely advise you to bring sunblock. The second tip would be to consider booking in September or October. September and October tend to be cheaper than other months of the year, and if you are able to plan a vacation during those times, then September and October are definitely considered the slow season in all-inclusive resorts in Mexico, specifically speaking of the Cancun area, Puerto Morelos, Playa del Carmen, Akumal. You have a better chance of, Riviera Maya, you have a better chance of getting a good deal in September and October. And if you are able to go then, you can maybe stay for a longer, you can stay for more nights because you're able to save money by booking at a time when it's cheaper. Occupancy is down in many resorts during those 2 months, September and October. The third tip is I would recommend booking a private transfer from the airport to your hotel as opposed to a shared transfer. It's possible that maybe the resort that you booked with, they might offer you a free transfer from the airport to your hotel, but it might be a shared transfer, meaning that you will be with a lot of other people on a bus, and it will stop at several resorts before finally arriving at your resort, and you'll have to wait for everyone to book your to board your shared transfer. Booking a private transfer means that you'll just be by yourself, or whichever small group that you're traveling with. You're by yourselves, and you will have a relatively faster time getting from the airport to your destination, your hotel. And that private transfer can either be with the hotel itself, or it can be with an independent company. The two that we've used here in Mexico, the companies for transfers from the airport to the hotel, have been USA Transfers and most recently Top Cancun Shuttle, also known as TCS. And I found that there were no problems with using these companies, and they were very prompt and efficient, and that is what we've been doing lately in both Mexico and the Dominican Republic. We've been booking private transfers, and it will certainly it might be more expensive because if you're going to areas that are farther from the airport, obviously, like Akumal or Tulum or Playa del Carmen, as opposed to going to the Cancun hotel zone or Puerto Morelos, which is close to the Cancun area. So just keep that in mind. But I would definitely go on to maybe Google and look for private transfer companies like USA Transfers or Top Cancun Shuttle if you're looking to have a faster time getting to your transportation, which will then take you directly from the airport to the hotel. Number 4 is, this is something that I've only done recently, relatively recently, but I would actually recommend taking earplugs. It's something that I never really thought of, but it is always possible that there might be some kind of noise in your hotel room. Whether that's noise from some kind of appliance or equipment coming from in your room, like an air conditioner that makes a lot of noise. That actually happened to us at this stay. We're currently at Hotel Rio Palace, Mexico. The room that we have, when you turn on the air conditioner, everything's fine until maybe 20 or 30 minutes later, and the air conditioner starts making this very, very loud noise. Which, it's not a problem because it's February, so at night the temperature does drop below 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and that's not a problem to not have the air conditioner on. But if it was summer or September and we were relying on the air conditioner at night to sleep, to help us cool down, and it was making that noise, it would be impossible for me to fall asleep, and we would have to ask for a room change. So earplugs might be helpful in that situation. For example, if you're not able to change rooms, but there's something in your room that is making noise, or if the walls are very thin and you can hear people in the room next to you and it's preventing you from going to bed early, for example, or if people are waking you up in the morning. As an example, we were staying at Hyatt Ziva Cancun, which is in the Cancun hotel zone, and there was a room that was next to us which was unoccupied, and the alarm clock went off at 6 in the morning, or even before 6. It was set to go off, but there was no one in that room, and we heard it clearly from our room next door. That's an example of the walls being a little bit too thin and being able to easily hear things from the room next to ours. And the other thing is, if your room is located near an area where they have shows or live music, yes, that is something you can also hear very clearly, potentially. And earplugs, they can make a huge difference. They're not expensive to buy lots of disposable earplugs. I would just go on Amazon and look for earplugs. It has helped me a lot, not just on vacation, but also at home. So that's another tip. Also, if you're looking at resorts and you're very interested in just how big some of the pools are or the size of the territory, maybe you like a resort that you really feel like you're in nature, you're just able to walk around a large property and enjoy yourself looking at all the trees and the animals, I would definitely go to Google Maps. Google Maps, search the name of your resort, and there'll be a button in the corner of Google Maps that allows you to turn on satellite imagery. So you turn on the satellite imagery, search the name of your resort, and you can zoom in closer, you can see how big the property is. You can do this, of course, for any resort, and that is one of my favorite things about doing research, is that you can, with the modern tools that we have, you can see exactly what your resort looks like, how big it is, how big the pools are, and that is all something that you can do from your computer. Google Maps, turn on satellite imagery, and there you go. You can see how big the resort is, how close is it to the beach, etc., etc. That's what I would recommend. Lastly, and this goes without saying, which I'm sure that you are very, I'm sure that you are going to do this, but please do your research, because you never want to book a resort to stay at, an all-inclusive resort, based on a bunch of 5-star reviews that said that the food is amazing, the pool is amazing, the service is amazing. You'll find a lot of subjective words thrown around in there, and you really don't want to look at those reviews. You don't want to rely on those reviews when you're doing your research. You want to look at reviews that mention specific things. For example, if you look at a lot of 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star reviews, for example, if you look at a lot of 1-star, 2-star, and 3-star reviews on TripAdvisor, you will see some things that people have a problem with. Maybe the toilet wasn't working in their room, maybe the air conditioning wasn't working, maybe they got food poisoning or something, I don't know, some big problems. But that doesn't mean that that's going to happen to you necessarily. It just means that you want to not just look at reviews that show that someone had a perfect experience, because that doesn't necessarily mean that that aligns with what your ideal version of a vacation is. Maybe it was their first time at an all-inclusive resort. Maybe they're just maybe their room was perfect and they had no issues, but maybe some other guests have issues with their rooms. So you just want to look at as many reviews as you can and focus on looking at negative reviews. Not because I'm trying to say that you should be prepared to expect the worst, but you keep your expectations in check. That is the most important thing. Don't be expecting everything to be perfect. You might have some hiccups, and that doesn't mean that you shouldn't go on vacation because there might be issues with your room or you might get sick. It just means that before you plan your trip, think about what you're looking for. Is it a family-friendly resort, adults only, meaning 18 and older? Does it matter if you're next to the beach? Is it okay if it's a 5-minute walk from the beach? Is it important to you that the pools are very large? If you're traveling with a family, maybe you want a resort that has water slides. know what you're looking for, maybe a general idea, and then read reviews on TripAdvisor, and Travelocity. Then that reading lots and lots and lots of reviews should, and then also looking at pictures on TripAdvisor, the traveler photos, and then watching videos on YouTube should give you an idea of what the resort looks like, and maybe what are some of the problems that people have had. Because doing research about a resort that you've never been to, it doesn't mean that you can predict what's going to happen, but it can paint a clearer picture. It can help you paint a clearer picture of what you might be able to expect and what are some things that other people have thought about this resort. Maybe other people mention that they've been to resorts that are higher ranked and this particular resort wasn't a good experience for them. Well, it's all about understanding your perspective. What other resorts have you been to? Maybe you haven't been to any other resorts. And people who are reviewing the resort, the reviews that you read, have they been to other resorts? Have they been to better resorts, worse resorts? Understanding other people's perspectives as well as what your current perspective is. The first all-inclusive resort I went to, I absolutely loved it and I thought it was the best resort ever because it was my first time, and I've since then been to many resorts and with objectively better food quality, more options to eat, and that gives me more perspective now. So I think that's all for now. I really hope that you have a good time planning your vacation. We have had a few problems with our rooms, small problems, luckily nothing major in all the resorts that we've been to. But the reason we keep coming back to Mexico specifically is it's just a couple of weeks out of the year, there's just quite nothing like it, in my opinion, to just being able to go to an all-inclusive resort where you don't have to worry about anything for that week. Take a nice vacation twice a year. Go to the buffet, drink some coffee, and to forget about the fact that I will be going to work next week. But that's what makes this extra special, just being able to enjoy while I can the excellent service that they provide. So I would recommend this resort, actually, the one I'm staying at, Hotel Rio Palace, Mexico. We've been here for 4 days so far, no problems. The service is, I'm impressed with the service. I think there's a lot of good options at the buffet, fruits and vegetables. So obviously it's totally subjective, what I'm saying, so I encourage you to go ahead and do your research. Go to TripAdvisor, go to Travelocity, read reviews, look at pictures, go on YouTube. Research takes time. So I would only pick a resort after you've spent at least a few hours doing research, because you want to at least know where you're going in terms of what it looks like, what are the options for food. Maybe you want to go out to the bars late at night, or the bars open. And one other resource is obviously to check the website of the websites of the hotels. They'll specify the food options and what kind of options there are in terms of bars, buffets, shows, activities. And that's all for now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching, and have a wonderful day.